All right, thanks for staying with us on TVC Breakfast. We're moving into our next discussion, but just before then, let's go through the papers again. Just if you didn't meet our earlier analysis we had on the front pages of the newspaper earlier on, let's go through them again so you see what the papers are saying. But however, we have joining us to do this and then also glide into the next discussion, a lawyer, Jide Ologun. Jide, good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Welcome.
All right, so we start off with the Punch newspaper. Major story here is Fayose. I will be at EFCC on Tuesday with my bedcloths, pillowcase. We have no time for your games. EFCC replies Fayose. It's become a dramatic situation between the EFCC and Fayose.
Yeah, I think the issues are clear. The EFCC has the mandate to investigate if there are issues. And of course, whatever the former governor says, it should have little to do with exercising that mandate. And I think the proper thing is for us to make our institutions effective. If we are effective, then expressions like that should not be of concern. You know, like we were taught in the law school, you focus on issues, not on minor issues. You know, though some may throw light on the main issues. And right now in Nigeria, there is a need to establish a platform of accountability. So it would be a fantastic thing if you've had the privilege of managing resources and you have to account for it. You know, and we have also advised the EFCC not to go pedestrian in the approach they embark on, because I wasn't pleased by all the instructions given out. Somebody should not travel. All those things should be underground matters. That is where intelligence comes in.
All right. Well, when it comes to Fayose, a lot of Nigerians commend the fact that his temperament and his disposition to some of these things have changed, because they were expecting that the Fayose we used to know would have been all over the place
since the PDP lost.
Yeah, exactly. but he has mellowed down, and in fact he gave time. He said at 1 p.m. today that he was going to be at EFCC. He had said that weeks ago after his
and that tells us something too. If you go to the antecedents, there was a time Honorable Obani Koro fled the country when this government resumed, and when he monitored from abroad, he decided to come back, made himself available to EFCC, released part of the money he was alleged to have laundered, and promising to release more. And today, he's moving freely. In fact, he migrated to APC, and that appeared like a citadel. So we have come to a point where some of these politicians may not be scared by what EFCC can do. And that should be, you know, an area we should focus on. If you have been monitoring South Korea, the former president bagged 30-year jail time, which is trying to appeal. So we also need to upscale our judicial system to ensure that people don't make mockery of it. I was referring to the case of the former governor of Delta State, Ibori, who got jailed 13 years in the UK for specific crime, but he's yet to be convicted for any crime, so to say, within our confines. So it may be wrong to refer to him as a corrupt person in this country, within the confines of the laws. So we need to look at all this, and that's why it's difficult now to tell who is corrupt or who is not corrupt, because they will tell you which court has pronounced me corrupt.
Absolutely.
It's all right. I think South Korea and Brazil are very good examples of how to fight corruption, where even a former president can go to jail. Exactly. All right, let's move to the Nation newspaper now. APC kicks as INEC insists party has no candidates in Zamfara State. This is one very contentious issue that has been going back and forth and back and forth. How dramatic it is, certainly.
You know, I think that punctuates the independence of INEC, because one would have expected that having APC at the center, that some of the decisions should favor APC. And of course, the arguments are on, but the date has gone by. So let's see whether INEC will bend or APC will oblige. And what that means for APC is that the whole state, out of the 36 states, and that is a huge impact on electoral results. But then, let's watch and see.
Let's watch and see how things play out.
Right. All right, so we go to the Daily Sun. Major story here is a sad one. Murdered by Boko Haram. Insurgents kill another Red Cross woman. Vow to make Leah slave. How Anita Capson was murdered by police family. Very sad occurrence yesterday when Nigerians got the news that another
so sad.
woman was killed.
When you move to the public relations platform, we have a lot to battle with in terms of reputation and image globally right now. And this group gave an ultimatum, and people clamored that the government should do everything possible to get these girls released. Now, following a recent killing of one of the health providers, now we have another one. And there was also a threat towards Leah Sharibu, though they are now saying she may be kept as a slave for life. I think my concern is that in 2014, before the election, we were dealing with the Chibok girls kidnapping. Now we have added Dapchi.
But we're still dealing with the Chibok girls anyway, because not all of them are
That's
back.
why I said we have added. All right. Then we were dealing with Boko Haram. Now we have added the headsmen. And I have maintained my position.
There's even bandits also added to them now.
Historically, Boko Haram started in Maiduguri in 2002 as put together by Yusuf, who was disturbed by the perceived corruption introduced by Western education. So it was like Western education is forbidden, drawing children of the poor within the country and from some neighboring countries. And by around 2009, it went haywire. And now we can go back and see the impact on the country. And some of us said at that time that, hey, can you just sit back and ask yourself what education represents? So if a group is coming out to fight education, where are we likely to find ourselves? And here we are now. And some are saying that the huge trust invested in President Muhammadu Buhari sprang from the fact that he was a military head of state. He's a general in the army, retired though. He's the commander-in-chief of the armed forces. He is the president of Nigeria, who is expected to implement laws that are made. And here we are. But then,
even in addition to that, he had experience in chasing out Metasini.
Exactly.
A sect in that at that time.
But then some of us have gone back to content analysis to imagine what it means to say that Boko Haram had been technically defeated. So,
but just a few days ago,
let's move on because of time.
Yes.
Vanguard is our next paper now. Obasanjo Atiku Abubakar. I work to reconcile, not endorse, says Bishop Cooker. This has been on for some time, but one of the stories here that people have been talking about, federal government defense borrowing, while reserves are falling. That's the CBN governor is saying that. In the last few months now, the foreign reserve has depleted by $4 billion.
I think the call now is for us to become productive with our resources. There are levels of wealth creation. You talk about the inflow. You talk about the preservation. You talk about the consolidation. And I think we are even yet to deal with how we can convert the resources we have to wealth for the country. It may amaze you to hear, for instance, that a country like the United States of America may have enough food for the next 20 years. You call that food security. You say, so I think we should move to the sustainable level. It baffles me and it worries me that right now our indebtedness is at the threshold of 22 trillion naira.
Anyway, we'll still be talking about that since.
And I think that's why some are shifting focus now from integrity to economic management. You see, economy is about managing available resources to be productive with them, to multiply. And we need that for security.
Welfare and benefit.
We get there.
We'll still talk more about this. Let's just move on to the Daily Trust, which is, of course, the remaining paper here. bribery videos. Kano Assembly sets up investigative committee to look into that video where the governor of Kano State was allegedly collecting foreign currency.
Those are cases that we believe should interest the ICPC, the EFCC, and there are several things coming up. What I've advised people now about is be careful what you do. In these days of technology, you never can tell where you will show up. And of course, you know, we are calling for investigations and probe, and the House of Assembly has promised to do that. But someone has rightly advised that in the criminal justice system, there's a need for thorough investigation, diligent prosecution, and a committed judiciary. You know, we have had several allegations that prima facie in law, we say on the face of it, you know, should indicate having conviction. But you still have the Koyi gate, many that have disappeared.
Because most of the time, you already laid out the process, but most of the time what we've seen is that criminal investigation usually comes second before prosecution, and then at the end of the day, the prosecuting team bungles.
Exactly, and the media trial. But then, we should not excuse it. The executive has the power to execute. I have brought out a critical issue. When you make a promise, please try and fulfill it. One of the promises this government made was to shift the burden of proof from the government, because crime is an offense against the state, to the accused. But as we sit in this studio, that has not been done. So the situation in criminal law now in Nigeria now is that the accused is presumed innocent until the case against him has been proven beyond all reasonable doubt.
Very good.
And that's a difficult one.
It's interesting. Indeed. We'll be talking about that next on our show. So and you will be here to do justice to that. Barrister Jide Ologun, thank you very much, and we'll keep you for
of course,
as we get along.